Obviously, we took some big losses in midterms. It's very disappointing. But the fact that the media is saying it's all Donald Trump's fault because he endorsed the wrong candidates is all the evidence that you need, that is completely false. Remember, Mitch McConnell earlier in the election cycle said that he thinks we're going to lose the Senate because of the lack of candidate quality, meaning Donald Trump's picks. But I don't want to hear anything about candidate quality when we had people like Carrie Lake on our side, who was extremely intelligent, smart, funny, beautiful. And they had people like John Fetterman, who literally has brain damage and can't finish a sentence. Imagine for a moment that we live in a world with no voter fraud whatsoever. I know, but it'll be an exercise for your imagination. Bear with me, because we obviously live in a collapsing empire. Financially, morally, intellectually, the United States is a house of cards, and we've all seen it turn into something out of the Twilight Zone or Idiocracy that makes Sodom and Gomorrah look like it was inhabited by Puritans. Intelligent people vastly underestimate the amount of stupid people that there are living out there, and we have entire generations now which have been bombarded by Hollywood propaganda, indoctrinated through government schools, and through social media celebrities, which have turned their brains into mush. And they'll vote for a Democrat even if their brain is mush as well, as John Fetterman obviously showed. Tell us, Kamala, something about the demographic that the Democrat Party is crediting with putting you guys over the top in the Senate and in numerous gubernatorial races.
What's the other thing we know about this population? And it's a specific phase of life. Remember, age is more than a chronological fact. What else do we know about this population, 18 through 24? They are stupid. That is why we put them in dormitories, and they have a resident assistant. They make really bad decisions.
Except for the ones watching my channel, of course. And that statement was fact-checked as missing context because technically she's not talking about voters, but she was talking about just young adults in general making stupid decisions. And obviously supporting the Democrat Party is one of them. But there are other factors at play as well, as Blake Masters, who ran for Senate in Arizona, explained on Tucker Carlson's show.
Senate Leadership Fund, Mitch McConnell. McConnell decided to spend millions of dollars attacking a fellow Republican in Alaska instead of helping me defeat Senator Mark Kelly. Had he chosen to spend money in Arizona, this race would be over. We'd be celebrating a Senate majority right now. And so my message to the people of America, my message to actually the Republican senators, hopefully my future colleagues, let's not vote Mitch McConnell into leadership. He doesn't deserve to be majority leader or minority leader. You get a choice. You can stand with your constituents and stand with Americans, or you can stand for Mitch McConnell.
And this sentiment has been echoed by Ted Cruz and many others who are saying that it's time for him to go. If we gain the majority in the House, which hopefully we will, at this point, I don't want to get my hopes up, but it looks like we might, then Kevin McCarthy wants to be Speaker of the House. And so Matt Gaetz is leading the charge to stop that. Kevin McCarthy, you may recall, threw President Trump under the bus after the January 6th protest, saying that he bears some responsibility, but that didn't go over very well with the Republican Party, and especially the base. So he then quickly pretended like he never said such thing, but he did.
He should have immediately denounced the mob when he saw what was unfolding. These facts require immediate action by President Trump. Accept his share of responsibility. And the president's immediate action also deserves congressional action, which is why I think a fact-finding commission and a censure resolution would be prudent.
Even the New York Times is saying that Republicans appear on track to take the House. And again, at this point, it almost makes me believe the exact opposite. So just cross your fingers. But we hopefully will get Lauren Boebert back in. They still haven't decided the outcome of her race. So that might get more complicated because if it's within a certain number of votes or a certain percentage, then it will trigger an automatic recount. And then that might take another few weeks. If we could take back the majority in the House, that means that we take over leadership positions in all of the committees and can create new committees. And Republicans can issue subpoenas. And that means that people have to come and testify and answer questions. Otherwise, they're going to jail. Hunter Biden's laptop, Dr. Fauci, I would say Black Lives Matter and Antifa leaders should all get subpoenas and be thoroughly investigated for what it is that they've done to this country. And you know that I always give it to you straight. I don't sugarcoat things. I'm about as blunt as anybody can possibly be. I don't know how to say things any other way, even if it's going to upset my own audience. Some people do only want to hear what their itching ears want to hear, to paraphrase, I think it's 2 Timothy in the Bible. So things are going to get very tense here and very turbulent very soon. Donald Trump is expected to announce that he's going to run for president again tonight, which is fantastic. But the Never Trumpers are sharpening their knives and plotting to complete the mission that they failed back in 2016. And there's going to be a lot of them this time. This is not going to be just a fringe movement like it was in 2016. Now, the Never Trumpers include the former Vice President Mike Pence, who is doing a mainstream media tour, not only just to try to derail the relaunch of the Trump train, but also to try to cash in because he has a brand new book that just came out today. Here he is on ABC News yesterday, beating around the bush because he doesn't really have the guts to just come right out and say what it is that he thinks.
We do know that the former president could announce any day now that he's running for president yet again. Given all that you witnessed in the Capitol on that day, this is a pretty straightforward question, a yes or a no. Do you believe that Donald Trump should ever be president again?
David, I think that's up to the American people.
That's a dodge.
But I think we'll have better choices in the future.
Well, that's a pretty cowardly way of saying no. Of course, Donald Trump was and is upset with Mike Pence because he wouldn't reject certifying the electoral count votes on January 6th and send the decision back to each state legislature. And the liberal media would have you believe that that was just a crazy idea, cockamamie scheme that Trump's attorney had come up with. But before the 2020 election, Van Jones from CNN gave a TED Talk breaking down what he described as a legal loophole and was concerned that Donald Trump might actually do just that and called it perfectly legal.
Now, some people would call that outcome a perfectly legal, perfectly constitutional coup against the very idea of majority rule in the United States. A perfectly legal, perfectly constitutional, that is possible under our Constitution, and it could happen this year.
Then, when the fallout settled from the mostly peaceful protest at the Capitol that day, lawmakers amended the Electoral Count Act to close what they called a loophole to change the language so that it was no longer ambiguous about whether or not that was actually legal and possible. Today, most legal scholars, even Republican ones, say that if Mike Pence did reject certification, try to send it to the state legislatures, of course, the Democrat Party would have sued, it would have went to the Supreme Court, and the court would have ruled that that's not allowable. But the fact that at the time, until they amended the Electoral Count Act and closed that loophole and clarified the language, at the time, the language was ambiguous enough so that you could make an argument that that was a strategy and it wasn't part of a coup, it was a legal strategy. And tomorrow, Mike Pence is going to be sitting down with Jake Tapeworm for a special CNN town hall event where he's going to continue to air his grievances about President Trump and try to sell his book to Democrats who are going to be combing through it trying to find dirt that they can use against President Trump. Can you imagine sitting down with CNN and actually taking them seriously after everything that they've done to Mike Pence, to President Trump, to all of us? It's despicable. Currently, his book is the #3 bestseller on Amazon, again, which just came out today. Michelle Obama also had a new book that came out today. So it's going to be interesting to see if all of the Democrats looking to dig up dirt on Trump will push it to #1. Oh, and look at this. The New York Times confirms that the FBI had informants in the Proud Boys leading up to the mostly peaceful protest. In fact, as many as 8 informants. And the #2 in command of the Oath Keepers was also an FBI informant. What a surprise. What's the saying again? The only thing different between a conspiracy theory and a fact is time. Click the thumbnails on the screen to watch some of my previous videos that you may have missed. Only about 15% of subscribers watch any given video, usually on any given YouTube channel. So click the links and check out some of the ones that I'm sure that you probably missed. Stay tuned because I will see you soon.